So a while ago, I decided that I wanted to continue drawing a few of the characters that I find inspiration from Arcane League of Legends, the Netflix series. And I have already drawn Jinx, but I didn't record any of that footage. Whereas when I started drawing Mel, as you can see at the beginning of this video, I forgot to hit record when I started drawing, but it was kind of good because it gave me that sort of relaxation to just quickly sketch out the beginning of my vision for this piece. With Mel, she's a very strong and composed character, and I really wanted this specific shot of her where she's kind of on the balcony at the gathering on Progress Day. And I really feel like Progress Day, the third episode of Arcane, I really hope I'm getting that right now because I really love it. I've watched the whole series repetitively for months, and it's phenomenal. As a writer, as an animator, as a character designer, the care and thought, and I already knew that League of Legends put so much backstory into each of their characters, and yet there's thousands of them. So this was really interesting to actually see it all come to life, because I've got friends who played League of Legends. Even my uncle's played it when he was younger. You know, it's been around for years and years and years, and I've of course looked at the behind the scenes of how League of Legends was developed from the start, when they started experimenting with music videos, and that's when I started to take notice of League of Legends. The only thing was, back then I didn't play it, and I wanted more visuals because, as you may know if you have been around for my content before, I am all about visuals. I mean, my whole career is based on design, character, costume. I make clothes in real life, so it helps with the costume side of things. You know, it's one of those where if I can find out the behind the scenes of anything that I'm fascinated with, you know, from a TV series to a film, I will repetitively watch it, research it. I mean, I didn't realise I was researching it. It wasn't until I went to uni that one of my tutors said that I've done so much research, and I hate researching things. So for her to say I've done so much research, it wasn't research for me. I mean, maybe you can relate to this, but you know, when you've gone for exams, I'd like to think whoever's listening to this has gone to school and done exams, or at least, you know, you've had a test and you've been told it's coming up and you need to do some revision. I hate revising with a passion. I hate revising. It's so boring. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the important information is, and the worst part is they don't tell you. They just give you a vague guide. So I hate that. Whereas with something like Arcane, a subject that I'm fascinated about, something that I want to know more about, I mean, even with something like Coraline, if you've seen that film, I've researched the behind the scenes of that, how they built the house. You know, you would see a grown man on screen moving the characters next to this giant house, because they would even, you know, take out sections of the house and build a set for that just to film them in the kitchen, you know. But with Arcane, it's a 3D, if you don't know anything about 3D design, it's basically like having puppets. So kind of like Coraline, where it's stop motion, so you have live action, if you like. You have a puppet in front of you, it has a wide skeleton. I did that before when I made my first animation. It is on YouTube if you want to go and dig it out. It was based on a poem, and I hand stitched these characters together with my sewing machine, with my fingers, because they were so small. I even made Isabel a dress, and it's the same sort of thing, only most people for stop motion, which is taking a picture and moving the character piece by piece. Only most of the time people use like plasticine or I don't know, Play-Doh for people who don't know. Maybe that's a bit more memorable for you. But I hand stitched them and took pictures and moved everything. And considering it's my first one, and literally nobody taught me in college how to animate, even though I chose animation, like how can you offer a course and you don't have it? That's ridiculous. So I had to teach myself, and I had to make the characters by myself. And considering I did it all on my own, it just shows that you don't need education. You can literally go on like YouTube. I'm not suggesting that you do that. I have so much experience because I was guided by experts who were in front of me. You know, I met a couple famous people who made animations that I watched when I was a child, you know? Like I met one of the directors, I think it was, from Anastasia, the Disney film. He was sat next to me in uni. And then we had another visit from someone who was a part of The Amazing World of Gumball. We had a guy who worked on Star Wars, the new films that I'm not keen on. And then there was this old gentleman who, this is going very far back now, but he did the stop motion for Mr. Toad, is it? It's like a very old stop motion back in like the early 2000s, I think, or maybe older than that. But they had, you know, a toad, a badger. Oh, I can't remember the other ones. But there was like two other characters. But this guy came into my uni and sat next to me and gave me advice. And unfortunately, my sketchbook was in bits and pieces at home and with me, so I couldn't really show him my proper work, but he still gave me good advice. So there's definitely benefits to going into education and having someone in front of you. That is amazing. You can't get that on YouTube. You can't find that on the internet. You can try and Skype somebody, but you know, I've met people who have inspired me from my childhood. I've met them from education, you know? So it's not like, oh, don't go into education because it's expensive or because you can learn it at home. There's a lot of things that come from being there in person. The fact that it gets you up out of bed in the morning, I struggle so much to just want to get out of bed, let alone, you know, instead of just being lazy. Like, I don't want to at all. And if I'm doing a project like me drawing Mel right now, that gets me up in the morning because I'm inspired. I want to go and do work. I want to go out and, you know, get breakfast so I'm not tired, so I can actually do the work, you know? It's not like education is a bad thing. It's a way for you to use tools that you can't afford. Like, we had giant tablets that you can look at and you can draw on them. I can't afford those tablets, but I can still go to uni, and yeah, I get debt from it, but I also get the experience that you can't get from YouTube. So, you know, if any of you are actually thinking about doing education, I mean, it doesn't really matter what age you are, you can still go back and do it. Obviously, it's a lot harder when you have a job and you're trying to do education, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it if you picked the wrong subject in school and now you're stuck in a job that you don't enjoy. You can quit. You can quit and you can go and try and learn something new, because that's the scariest thing, not knowing. Humans are scared of 3 things, I think it is. The darkness, the unknown, and falling, I think it is. And there's always going to be someone there to teach you, but you have to be there for them to teach you, you know? So that's my little thing. I've almost forgotten why I started talking about that. But with let's go back. So with me drawing Mel, it's one of those where I hadn't really drawn in a while. I obviously draw in person, but I hadn't drawn digitally, and it was kind of like, I want to capture this moment where she's on the balcony, and I want to show her personality and her poise, her calm, you know, just that glimmer where she's just stood there and it's sort of over her shoulder. Obviously, I've used 2 different references to help me draw her with this piece, but I wanted to get that sort of, she's kind of looking at you, but she's not really looking at you, you know, she's looking in a different direction and she catches you in her eye. So it's one of those where I'm teaching myself, even after doing education, I'm still learning. There's always something to learn, you know. When someone asks you to do a quick sketch, that's not showing your true potential. So if you practice like this in your own time, it gives you the room to develop your skills, develop your maybe colours, the way that you draw shapes, how to capture different hairstyles. This was really fun for me, for the hair, really. I really, really enjoyed drawing Mel's hair. It's because obviously it's sort of in dreads, but then she's got a lot of it down when you see her wake up in the middle of the series. If you haven't seen this series, by the way, I highly recommend that you do, because it is incredible. I mean, that's what I was talking about earlier, you know, I've gone behind the scenes to learn these extra little bits about the behind the scenes. Oh, that's what I was talking about, sorry. So, the reason why I was talking about stop motion and them being like puppets was because it's kind of the same as the 3D part. So obviously Arcane is 3D, but it's a really easy way to think about it if you don't know anything about it, is that the characters are all like stop motion puppets. They all have a strong skeleton that you can manipulate and move, and then they have their clothes and their hair and everything, and you can move that too. So that's why I went on about stop motion. Sorry. But you know, I mean, what else am I gonna really talk about during this draw? Like, I mean, I could leave it with just the music if you wanted. I mean, leave a comment, because I'm totally open to your opinion. It's just, you know, I haven't done a draw in a while, and I figured I'd let you know what I was thinking about while I was drawing this. I will leave you to watch it in a second. I just wanted to give you some of that behind the scenes, if you like, of why I did certain things and change things. So with this illustration of Mel, I just inked out all the colour palette for this from the original picture that I got. I didn't really want to change that too much, but I have a sort of style where it's kind of realistic, but it's got its own sort of spin on it. And I really didn't want this to be a complete copy of the artwork. I didn't want Mel to look exactly like my version. I didn't want Mel to look exactly like how she does in Arcane. I wanted to make her sort of realistic, but obviously keep her charm, and I kind of wanted to make her features stand out a bit more because she's very well spoken, but obviously she's kept some of her roots, they've kept some of her roots in her design. So from her dreadlocks to maybe the decoration, I don't know what the headpiece is, the head jewellery that she's got, but she's kind of got a mixture of her maybe ancestors through her hair, and then she's got a very modern, almost industrial but very sleek and slender style to her, with all the gold on her. And I'm really curious if this is like implants, so where she's got these sparkles on her face, and obviously she's got gold on her skin, so her shoulders and her back and her neck have all got this like gold plating, and she obviously didn't have that when she was a child because we saw a flashback. So I'm curious, is this like implants? And I'm really curious because obviously they left us on a cliffhanger. Is it some kind of weaponry, or is it a way to sense bad things? Because when Jinx fired that rocket through the window, we saw the shine of Mel's jewellery, implants, gold, shield, I don't know what to call it. Maybe I'll just call it gold jewellery on her back, and she turned around like she could hear it before she saw it. And obviously you would because it's a rocket, but it's more that it sensed it, and then we looked at her and she saw the rocket. So I'm really curious because I'm pretty sure that Arcane is going to be releasing the next series in 2023, and I just really want to know who's going to survive. And I feel like Mel could, if that gold jewellery is actually a weapon, because if her mum went on for years about being a wolf and being a fox, Mel is definitely a fox. She's good at talking to people, she's good at manipulating people and getting what she wants with calm and and well thought out speeches, if you like. But I don't think she'd ignore her mother about being a wolf and needing to fight and kill. So I feel like this gold jewelry could be a weapon or some kind of protection, because I don't think Mel would really fight. But we did see her get angry, so it would be fun if it was some sort of shield weapon that she could use to save herself. And I've forgotten his name. What's his name? Jace. Yeah, Jace Tallis. I feel like those two are gonna survive. I mean, maybe that thing's gonna warn Mel and she'll die, because I don't think they were that close to each other that she could save him if it is a weapon. So, I mean, she could die, he could die, but I feel like at least one of them will survive and everybody else will be dead. But what do you think? Because I love this sort of theories about, you know, what the story is. It's been a while since there's been a series that I've been invested in, and I'd love to chat with you about what you think and feel about this Arcane series, because it's just, there's so many layers. It could go in so many different directions. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was a bit late to the party and I watched Arcane in one go. I watched all of it as soon as I could because I hadn't had internet in a while when I moved. And then when I finally got to watch it, I could not stop. I had to keep going. I had to find out what the questions had to be answered. I needed to know. So, you know, if you can if you can relate to me, just like send me a message, write a comment, like tell me what you think about this, because Mel is such a mysterious character anyway. So there are 100 questions about her, and if she dies, I feel like they might maybe answer a few in flashbacks, but if she survives, I feel like she's gonna get so much character development and grow, because she didn't really do that much in the series. So I feel if she does survive, it will change a lot of things. Maybe she'll become a warrior. I mean, Jace started with his hammer all of a sudden. I hope that you enjoyed this speed draw of Mel. It took me a while to do it. I really took my time and did it in chunks. It was a bit of a challenge for me in some areas, and in others I just simplified things because with art, sometimes you only need a quarter of the whole piece to look good, just to show your skill. And I didn't really start this piece out to show it to people, but I'm glad that I can actually rewatch it and see how I change things and then change them again, because you don't really see that many black women as main characters, and I feel like I said earlier, if Mel survives, that would be really cool to see her character change and develop and maybe be more of an impact in the story of Arcane. But we're gonna have to wait, so I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think, and if there's like a character that you really want me to draw, let me know, because I mean, I've done it before where I've done the 6 character challenge, and it was quite fun to go out of my comfort zone. So yeah, like, make a note, let me know, and I'll see if I can draw them next, because this was really fun. So yeah, thank you, and I'll see you later. Bye!